Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you a really easy recipe that you can also try at home. Very delicious. If you're into salad dressings like I am, you're going to love this one. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Anyways, let me go through some of the things that I use in my dressing. So for my dressing, I love to use ginger. And then this is black peppercorn from Atomy. This one is so delicious, so flavorful, intense flavor almost, I would say, compared to other black peppercorns. This here is an onion. This is the yellow variety. It's something I always have in my pantry, but you can easily use red onions or white onions, shallots, whatever you prefer. Just adjust your sauce accordingly depending on what type of onion you're using, because certain onions will be a little bit spicier or sweeter, so just make sure that you pay attention to that. In case you are using a sweeter type of onion, you might not have to add so much of a sweetener to your sauce. Also in my recipe is vinegar. And then I also have this delicious soy paste that I'm going to use. It's a fermented soy paste that was available here in Canada. It is unfortunately currently out of stock now. It went pretty fast in Canada. So at the time of uploading this video, it is actually completely sold out in Canada, unfortunately. But a very delicious product, and I hope you guys can all grab yourself a bottle when it comes back. Here is some honey. I love to use some unpasteurized, organic honey. The flavor is delicious, but also it's a healthier option, I believe, based on what I've learned about unpasteurized versus pasteurized honey. And then here, last but not least, is avocado oil. I love using avocado oil because it does have more of a neutral taste, but not only that, it has a lot of health benefits too. But if you don't have any avocado oil, you can also try, using some canola oil, and that works perfectly fine too. And then for storing your dressing, I would recommend something like this jar, because it does come with a rubber gasket at the top here, and that will actually help, keep this kind of container airtight. So it'll keep your dressing fresh. But the thing to keep in mind, and the reason why I like to use rubber gaskets, is because when you're using something like maybe a mason jar, which has the metal lid, those types of lids will actually corrode really fast with this type of dressing. So you do not want any of that in your dressing. So your dressing will not actually last very long if your lid actually starts to corrode or rust. And so that's why I prefer using a glass jar with a rubber gasket. And when I do use a jar like this, I can actually have this dressing in my fridge nice and fresh for months. And the longer that I have left this dressing in the fridge, I find that the flavor just gets deeper and just more delicious over time. I have added carrots to this dressing before, and it does add a very delicious taste to the dressing, a very nice sweet taste. But I do find that when I add carrots to it, that the dressing doesn't last as long. So, just follow this recipe the way that I show you, but just make adjustments as you go depending on your own preference. So if you do like something a little bit more tangy, you can add a little bit more vinegar. If you want it to be slightly more spicy, you can add a combination more of black pepper, ginger, and onion. But if you want it a little bit sweeter, you can definitely add more honey, or if you want it a little bit saltier, of course, you can add more soy. So it really depends on what your preference is. But I find that the way I make it is perfectly where I believe it should be and what it should taste like. But that's just based on my own preference. So why don't we get started? Some of the equipment that I use actually is like this thing here. It's a scale. So to keep my recipes consistent, I like to kind of weigh out my ingredients. I don't do everything perfectly, according to my own recipe, but it does help keep my sauces tasting consistent. And I have a blender here that I use primarily for my marinades and dressing. I find blenders work better than food processors. In this case, I find that the sauce is finer and you know, all the pieces of the ginger and onions and things like that is finer. So that's why I do prefer to use a blender over a food processor. But if you only have a food processor, that's fine too, it'll work, but it might just potentially be a little bit chunkier, but the flavors should still be there. Anyways, yeah, let's get started. So all you do now is just kind of throw everything into the blender, nice and easy. So first I'll add the onions. I don't really chop it that finely because my blender works like magic, so I don't really have to finely chop anything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add everything. Here's the vinegar. The soy paste, it's a bit thick, so I'll need to use the spatula to help it out. And then honey, it's quite thick too. And then the oil. For this recipe, you could actually go up to a cup of oil if you like, but for calorie reasons, I keep it at half a cup. And then last but not least, some black peppercorns. And then that's it. Put the lid on and blend. That's it. And then you can enjoy this type of dressing on things like salad. I actually love to eat it with salad. So what I would do is cut up some romaine, throw in some mushrooms, zucchini, and tomatoes. But you can really use this with any vegetable that you might like. You can even do a coleslaw, or you could even put this on your steaks, barbecue chicken, pork, whatever. I actually think that this dressing goes with so many different types of things. So really, it's just up to your imagination, and have fun with it. And if you guys have any questions or want a little bit more info, just check down below in the description and I will leave you guys some information there. But anyways, I'm going to enjoy my salad now. So I'm just gonna stop this video and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.